Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and today I want to rank all of the team-up abilities currently in Marvel Rivals, keeping in mind that this is subject to change as characters get buffed or nerfed, especially because where a hero ranks in usefulness right now really affects how good the team up ability actually performs. And so if you have Hela getting nerfed or underperforming, say she's not as good as she is currently, that team up ability, which requires her to get a kill, will no longer be nearly as valuable. And so knowing all that, let's just jump into the list and start off with Gamma Charge. This is one of the more underrated combinations in the game. I'm going to put it right at A tier. The reason for that, Doctor Strange, one of the best Vanguard characters in the game right now. Hulk, in the right hands, is incredibly good. His win rate is insanely high, and that's because good Hulks can absolutely dominate games. And on top of that, Iron Man, he is a character that can struggle when you have an enemy Hawkeye and Hela on the opposing teams. At higher ranks and competitive, those characters are likely going to get banned. Plus, Iron Man has one of the few abilities in the game that can counter an ult for Luna, Snow, or Mantis, making him more valuable than he otherwise might be. And so people say Iron Man's not a great character, which is sometimes true, but if you have a Hulk on your team, his ability with the Gamma Charge is absolutely insane, and he can one-clip pretty much any low health enemy in the game. Any character that's 250 HP or lower is just deleted with the Gamma Charge. And even more than that can get annihilated with that ability. And so it improves Iron Man significantly. So I would imagine we might see eventually a rise in this combination. You will have a shield tank in Doctor Strange. You will have a character like Hulk who's in and out of combat, and then you have the long range damage dealer of Iron Man who can also pick off enemies who are pushing too aggressively, maybe go to the back line and pick off a strategist as well. So that combination is incredibly good. And I would imagine as we see changes to the strength of different characters like Hela and Hawkeye, this will get even better over the course of time. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have one of the worst team-ups for a couple different reasons. I think this is C tier, honestly. I might put it in D tier. I'm not 100% sure at this point. Thor is solid. He's a good Vanguard character, but Storm is probably one of the worst duelists in the game, and Captain America doesn't really shine in combination with Thor in higher ranks especially, because it's a hard combination to run, especially because you have Doctor Strange and Magneto and Groot who are so strong that it doesn't feel great running this. Now, the Voltaic Union makes Captain America significantly better, but it doesn't help the team as much right now with the current setups that we're seeing with most teams. And so that's why, while I say this is not a terrible team up in isolation because of the characters themselves and the combinations you have to run, it's lower. And I might put it in D tier, to be honest. And I think I'm going to do that just because I like it. It's very fun at times. It's just not incredibly impactful, especially in comparison to a lot of other options in the game. Then we have the Symbiot Bond. And this one is B tier for me. And the reason for that is because I think it is very good in the right hands. I do feel like running a Venom Spider-Man combination to get backline picks and kind of support each other can be very good. A tank team of Venom and Penny Parker, unlikely to be super useful unless you're running like 3 tank, 3 healers or something like that. So you have a bit of everything. You have Venom being more aggressive, you have defensive Penny Parker, and then maybe you have a shield tank like a Groot or a Doctor Strange. But other than that, this combination is not going to see a lot of run in most games. Whereas I do think as players get better with Venom and with Spider-Man, it could make this team up that much better as well. And the reason I say that, Spider-Man's very hit or miss. Good Spider-Mans can be very, very good. Bad Spider-Mans can just feed the enemy team. Same thing goes for Venom. And the problem at higher ranks especially is that Venom tends to dive into the backline, get stunned or frozen or whatever the case may be, and then has to just dip out and doesn't get a lot of value by diving. There isn't a dive meta right now. If that changes, this combination will likely shoot up, and having that Symbiot Bond could be very, very good. For now, it's good. I think there's some teams that could definitely take advantage of it, but overall, it's not going to be as good as some other options on the list. Then we have Planet Pals. This one is more annoying than excellent, and the reason I say that is sometimes shooting a Jeff or Rocket off of Groot can be incredibly frustrating. It does feel like a Groot who already is the highest HP tank in the game is basically invincible with this combination when you are in lower ranks or in quick play, because people don't team shoot. But the biggest issue for this is a lot of Rockets and Jeffs don't know when to jump off of Groot, and because of that, there's a lot of abilities that can pick those two off fairly easily from his shoulders, and then now you're down a strategist. Plus, while Rocket is pretty solid and Jeff is okay, I do think they rank lower on the strategist tier lists for me. So because of that, I'm not really going to want to run one of them just to ride on Groot's shoulders when you can have a Mantis or a Luna Snow or somebody instead. Rocket's very good, but again, it just depends on total team composition. And I don't think riding around is going to be something most players are going to enjoy and be able to use consistently. Then we have Ammo Overload. This is going to be my first S tier, and the reason for that is twofold. One, Punisher and Winter Soldier, especially with Hela and Hawkeye getting banned so often, are incredibly powerful. They can work together. You can pick one of them, you can pick both of them, and it's definitely a combination that can be successful. You add the ammo overload from Rocket, especially if you have a Rocket who knows how to heal, but also is able to avoid dive characters, or at least you don't have to deal with dive characters. It makes this insanely powerful because you can absolutely shred enemies. You can burst them down in one clip and even get two characters with one burst. And so that's how insane this is. Just firing infinitely with Winter Soldier is hilarious. And if you get a couple headshots in there, it does insane damage. And so I think this one is very, very good. And it's one that I've definitely seen in, like, for example, the tournaments that have been ongoing or higher ranked gameplay where this is used quite often. And Rocket is actually an underrated pick when other characters like Luna Snow or Mantis are likely to get banned as well. So that makes this combination incredibly valuable. And I think the value added for this team up ability is pretty insane. But then we have probably the best team up in the game, and that's Ragnarok Rebirth. Another S tier. This one is so good for two main reasons. One, all of the characters in this are viable at every rank, and it utilizes the best character in the game who is easily able to get picks. So if you didn't know, this one allows Hela to revive either Loki or Thor if she gets a kill. And while that is useful in and of itself, if Hela's not getting kills, then it doesn't really matter. And if Thor was not being used often enough because he wasn't good enough, then that would show. Then Loki, all these characters are viable and good. Now, Hela being the best obviously changes things quite a bit. Thor is a character who, as an off-tank and as a damage-dealing frontliner, can be insanely good. And then Loki, I think, as people are learning him, much like a character such as Spider-Man, has more nuance to his kit. So as you learn to use him, his usage rate and his value rises. And so I think people are just now seeing how good Loki can be. His little shield ability that he drops on the ground essentially can make you immune from any of the ultimates, the attacking ultimates in the game. And as an ability doing that, that's absolutely bananas. And I think people underrate how important that is. Plus, people are learning where to put his clones and everything like that. But all that being said, the key to this is the fact that you can be hyper aggressive on Thor, get a player low or get a pick, and then trust that your Hela is going to get a pick as well, and now all of a sudden you are right back in the fight, and revives in this game are incredibly valuable. I think Adam Warlock, for example, is not the best strategist, but his ability to revive the entire team is absolutely insane. Plus, if you're running, I'll talk about that team up in a little bit, but yeah, he can be incredibly good. And so anytime you're able to revive teammates in this game, it is very, very useful. And I think this is one of the best combinations. And if you're going to run all three of these characters in one game and everyone knows how to use them properly, it can be absolutely bananas. Then we have the dimensional shortcut. This is Magic, Black Panther, and Psylock. Black Panther and Psylock are good. It's hard to run all of these characters because they're all like kind of frontline divey characters. Magic is insane. Black Panther is insane in the right hand. Psylock is obviously one of the best duelists in the game, but you're often not running them together, and so that's why I'm going to put this one at C. It is nice, and it can be incredibly annoying, especially in like quick play or against a really good aggressive team that has a Magic and a Black Panther, and he's just constantly getting out of danger where you think you have him dead to rights. And so I think this one can be very good. It's just hard to run this combination unless you have the perfect team set up around him. So that's why it drops down just a bit for me. I think it's fun. I think it's good, but it's not as good as it could be. Then we've got the Metallic Chaos. This one would be much better if Scarlet Witch was significantly stronger. And so the problem right now is that, especially as you get in higher ranks and people learn to deal with her, Scarlet Witch loses a lot of value. She is a pub stomping character who can be incredibly good, but the whole goal of this is to make Magneto a S tier tank, and that's what Metallic Chaos does. But unless you have a very good Scarlet Witch who is able to compete and get kills and stuff like that, the trade-off isn't necessarily worth it. Now, again, this changes Magneto's damage to a degree that I think makes him one of the best tanks, if not the best tank in the game. However, again, if we see a season where Scarlet Witch is the best character or a top 3 strategist, this team up will instantly be S tier. And for right now, it's good. I do like it. It's a nice combination, but it's just not performing well enough because Scarlet Witch is not a high pick at the current time. Lunar Force. This one, I think, is C. The bubble that makes Moon Knight go invisible, I think, is not overly helpful with as many AoE abilities are in the game. You're essentially able to force him out of that, and so it can be annoying, but it's not incredibly useful. Now, Cloak and Dagger are used fairly often as you get forward in rank. Same thing with Moon Knight, so this is a combination you will see. I just don't know if people are actually using this ability all that much. Then we get to Guardian Revival. Again, this one is very useful. Obviously, Mantis is one of the, if not the best strategist in the game, very high usage. Star-Lord in the right hands can absolutely destroy teams. His ultimate is bananas. And being able to get second lives with both of them is insane. Because essentially, with Star-Lord specifically, you can get into fights you wouldn't otherwise take some extra chances because you know you can get back in the fight very, very quickly with that cocoon ability. And so because of that, it does change the way you can play as him. And one of my favorite things is you can run all 3 of these. Just like with Ragnarok Rebirth, all 3 of these characters are viable. Adam Warlock is a tougher healer to use, but if you use his offense well enough and you're able to get his revives off as well, you could have a fight where you cocoon as Adam Warlock, your Star-Lord cocoons, and then you do your full revive ultimate ability as well, and it just completely changes things. This one I think I'm gonna get might get the most pushback for. I think Chilling Charisma is A tier, and the reason for that: Luna Snow, excellent. Namor, underrated, probably one of the better duelists in the game when you take out Hela and Hawkeye, especially if they're banned and ranked. I think he's incredible. People talk all the time about how they'll look up and they'll see the Namor top leaderboard in kills, insane damage, and they don't remember him even being in the game. that's how he plays, honestly, and he can be annoying. You got the turrets, now you have a third turret that does even more damage, and this one I think is excellent, and I highly recommend. Don't use it as often with Jeff, and again, Jeff and Luna Snow combination is not really something you'll see at higher ranks, but at lower ranks, it can be very, very good, and definitely is one that can be a lot of fun as well if you want to run that combination. But yeah, the Namor Lunar Snow combo is what makes that better. And then we have, again, because of where Black Widow is in the game right now, probably the worst of all the team-ups, and that is Allied Agents. There is not going to be much of a time in the current sandbox where you're going to see a Hawkeye and a Black Widow on the field at the same time on the same team. And so because of that, you're just unlikely to see. Like the team up itself sounds very good and could be devastating. The problem often comes in the fact that Black Widow is so poor right now. She is alongside maybe Storm or a couple other characters towards the bottom of the list, and that really makes it so this team up is not super valuable, and you won't see it almost ever. I don't know if I've ever ran into this in one of my games, and I've been playing an absolute ton. Let me know what you guys think about this tier list in the comments down below. Are you agreeing, disagreeing, whatever the case may be? I'd love to hear from you. I think this looks about right, honestly. If I'm going through every list, I think it's pretty spot on. Anyway, my name is Jopa. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you all later.